In this video, we will discuss how to draw up your site plan. Hopefully you have already watched the videos about how to measure a site and the real basics of drawing a site plan. This video builds on the content of those videos, so if you haven't watched them yet, it's a good idea to watch them first. This video takes you through the process of drawing up formal site planning documents for this project, now that you've measured and recorded the dimensions of the section, buildings, and other key features. We will draw a site plan and an environmental plan. The first thing to do is work out the scale at which you will draw the site plan. Before we can do this, we need to understand how scale works. Here is a section as if we were looking down at it from a helicopter, and here is our piece of paper. If we drew everything on the section at full scale on our paper, something that measured 100 millimeters on the section would be drawn as a 100 millimeter long line on the paper. This is a scale of 1:1, or full scale. As you can probably imagine, this would take a lot of paper to draw the whole section. A better way of doing this is to say that 1 millimeter on the page represents a longer length in the real world, for example, 100 millimeters. This is then a scale of 1:100. To work out what scale to use for your site plan, take the length and the width of your section and divide these by the size of the paper you're going to use. For this example, we're going to draw the plan on a piece of A3 paper. A3 paper is 420 millimeters by 297 millimeters. The section we are using in this example is 40.315 meters long, or 40,315 millimeters. It is 22.3 meters wide, or 22,300 millimeters. You need to keep the units of measure the same when doing this calculation, so we will use millimeters. If we divide the length of the section by the length of the piece of paper, we get 95.988. In other words, if we used a scale of 1 to 96, it would just fit on the piece of paper lengthwise. If we do the same thing for section and paper width, we get a scale of 1 to 75. If we drew the whole section onto our piece of paper at a scale of 1 to 75, then the section would fit widthwise, but would extend off the page in the lengthwise dimension. For this reason, you should always use the bigger number when choosing what scale to draw your site plan at. Site plans should be drawn at a standard scale, usually 1 to 100 or 1 to 200. Using our example section, if we drew it at a scale of 1 to 100, the drawn size of the section would be 403 millimeters by 223 millimeters. This would mean that there is only 17 millimeters, or 1.7 centimeters, of space between the drawing and the edge of the paper, probably about 8 millimeters on either side. Because we still need to draw things like labels and site dimensions, it is a better idea to draw this section at a scale of 1 to 200. Now that we have determined the scale we are going to use, we can draw the section, buildings, and other key features onto our piece of paper. Next, we will draw on our key measurements. You will recall from the video on measuring a section that it is a good idea to measure from each point to several other points. In this example, we were able to confirm that the site was rectangular by checking the surveyor's plan on the certificate of title. We did use multiple measurements to check that the house was located on the section parallel to the site boundaries. The last thing to do is add notes about the key features of the site, such as buildings, existing garden areas, large trees and shrubs, and hard surface areas. Your site plan is now completed. The next step is to create an environmental plan, which records all of the environmental information about the site, such as dry spots, wet spots, sunny areas, shady areas, and changes in ground level. Other resources in this topic teach you about how to research and measure this environmental information, but this video shows you how to draw it up. To do this, we recommend that you place a sheet of tracing paper or butter paper over your site plan and tape both pieces of paper to your drawing surface. This will prevent them from moving while you draw your environmental plan. For clarity, we will remove the notes and measurements from our site plan. The first thing we are going to add is contour information. Contour lines show changes in height. For this project, it is not essential that your contour lines are highly accurate, Instead, we suggest you simply draw lines on your environmental plan where the ground level changes height. After doing this, simply note how steep each part is. Next, we will add the location of the dry and wet spots on this site, as these often relate to site contours. Then we will add the location of those parts of the section that don't get at least 6 hours of sun each day. In this example, we will use loose cross-hatching. We got this information from our sun study. Finally, we will note the direction that the wind comes from most of the time. This is called the prevailing wind. We have now completed the 2 key drawings that we need to begin planning out the location of our garden beds. Thank you for watching this video.